Did American attitudes toward government spending on social welfare programs change between 2008 and 2016? Presented by Howard Johnson III, California State University, Sacramento. Mentor, Jacqueline Brooks, PhD, Sociology. Purpose of research and research question. This research aims to investigate public attitudes towards government spending on social welfare programs under a Democratic president versus a Republican president. How do attitudes on government spending shift and affect social welfare programs based upon party of the president in office? In 2008, the United States saw the election of Barack Obama as the first African-American president. With that election, there were issues from many Republican Party members, supporters, and some of the top 1% of the country. With his election, there seemed to have been a great deal of animosity and even concern that his policies would call for an increased government spending on social welfare programs that favored African Americans and the poor. The Tea Party movement sparked a great deal of controversy, which seems to have mobilized the conservative Republican Party base to try and stop the impending increases in taxes and government spending on social programs by the new administration, and led to opposition to domestic government spending. Tea Party supporters are much more to the right than other Americans on a broad range of issues that encompass fiscal, social, and racial policies. Contrary to claims by some individuals in the Tea Party that its members are only united on one desire for limited government, most Tea Party supporters want the government to regulate social issues and reduce government spending. Despite the issues faced after his election in 2008, President Obama went on to be re-elected in 2012. This research will examine the factors that change the American attitudes towards government spending on social programs and how the effects of this change was due to there being an African American Democrat president in office, and then how these attitudes shifted when a super conservative Republican candidate is elected president. As with most conservative Republicans, they oppose big government and massive spending on social matters that on the face value will appear to be spent on African Americans or other minority groups. Tea Party supporters appear to prefer a smaller government, even if it means cuts to Social Security and Medicare. In contrast to the rhetoric articulated by Tea Party activists, the conservative impulse underlying the movement extends beyond fiscal matters and into social and racial policies. Historically, as we have come to know, there are ideological differences between Democrats and Republicans when it comes to government spending, which also causes this to manifest among the support base of them. First, there are partisan differences in how policymakers finance social programs, as Democrats prefer to finance public social programs through direct appropriations, while Republicans prefer to finance private programs through tax expenditures. Second, there are policy differences between direct social spending and social tax expenditures. Direct spending and tax expenditures are produced through different policy processes, assist different populations, and redistribute federal money to a different economic and social group. Finally, there may be differences in public visibility of direct spending versus tax expenditures. Some have argued that tax expenditure programs and the redistributive effects of such programs are hidden from public view in a way that makes public preferences on these programs less well informed than preferences on direct spending. The research conducted used quantitative data gathered from scholarly sources and surveys on the topic regarding the changes of attitudes on government spending. The data collection for the research is primarily from the General Social Survey, also known as GSS dataset. The GSS dataset is a cross-sectional data collection survey that incorporates data from respondents across the nation on a variety of topics every 2 years. Variables used in the GSS are the dependent variables: should the government help Black, should government improve standard of living, help poor, and should government help sick. Limitations faced with this method of data collection is limited to time consumption related to running the data analysis and interpretation of the findings. The normal and typical challenges that would be faced with gathering data, such as formulating surveys and solicitation and circulation of the survey questionnaire, is a non-issue with this method of collection. In the following slides, through a series of bar graph charts, I will show the related data on how American attitudes shifted. Chi Square Bivariate Analysis was performed using the data contained in the bar graph charts 1 through 7 of the independent and dependent variables. The objective of analyzing these data was to assist in the identification of a correlation between attitudes about government spending. After completion of the analysis, findings reveal that there is a correlation in the attitudes that support the research hypothesis as follows for government spending. Take graph 1, for instance. In 2010, for the race of respondents, there was 2,044 people surveyed. 1,323 were white, 304 were black, and 134 identified as a race not being black or white, otherwise other. When looking at the respondents by race and political party affiliation, you have 435 of those respondents who were white, 199 who were black, and 62 as other, who identified as Democrat. For independent party, there are 469 white, 78 black, and 78 other. Republicans, 419 white, 27 black, and 28 other. Chart 2. No one single race overwhelmingly supported government spending to help black. White supporters were less likely to support government spending to help black. Each race increased its support of government spending to help black over the years 2010 to 2018. For chart 3, no one race, again, overwhelmingly supported government spending to help the poor. However, white supporters were more likely to support government spending to help the poor and give special treatment. For chart 4, no one race overwhelmingly supported government spending to help the sick. However, white supporters were less likely to support government spending to help the sick. When looking at political party affiliation, no one party overwhelmingly supported government spending to help African Americans. Republicans were less likely to support government spending to help African Americans. For chart 6, no one single political party again overwhelmingly supported government spending to help aid the poor. Democrat supporters were more likely to support government spending to help the poor. Chart 7, again, no one political party overwhelmingly supported government spending to help aid the sick. Democrats were more likely to support government spending to help the sick. Further research would need to be conducted as the long-term effects of government spending cuts to social welfare programs, specifically in relation to healthcare spending and spending to assist the poor as a means of reducing poverty. Analysis and research of this would need to incorporate which political party is in control of Congress, the Senate, and the presidency, respectively, in order to get an adequate idea of the cuts made to programs aimed at social welfare expenditures, as well as program analysis and data related to the programs receiving government funding for health care and aid to the poor to improve their quality of life. In conclusion, although this topic of research seems to be widely spoken of in the media and political commentaries as to the use of government spending for social welfare programs related upon the specific areas outlined, it is reasonable to believe the public attitudes and perceptions related to these topics are guided by constituent attitudes and represented by the party representatives holding office when decisions are being made on how the government is going to spend money to fund these programs or services.